of the Kickstarter podcast kickoff. And as you can see on the screen, I have three-time world champion kickboxer Bonnie Mann with a little hip hop music in the background. And Bonnie, I'm going to bring her up. How are you doing today? Thanks for being a part of the pulling each other along. We'll see if we get any folks to listen in. If not, they'll see us all on replay.
Absolutely.
We'll be sharing that, and I think this is going out to several streams, but it's during the workday, so you would have to take a break from your work to see this. But Bonnie, glad to have you. I know you're one of the ones that's actually not that far away from me.
No, right down the street. So literally, in terms of where we live, and yeah, so local.
Right, very very local, and there are some people starting to chime in. So if you're in there and you got some questions for Bonnie, and Bonnie, let's just start. Give a brief rendition of who Bonnie Mann is, where you're from. Let folks know, and then we can talk about maybe why you got involved with the Pulling Each Other Along movement. We'll say, not just book.
Sure. Yeah, I like that word, movement. So yeah, Bonnie Mann, born in Buffalo, raised in Bath and Bradford. I went to school at Haverling, kindergarten through 8th grade, and then we moved. So I went from my high school years at Bradford Central. 2 days later, I was at Parris Island, South Carolina, in the Marine Corps boot camp, and spent 8 years in the Marine Corps, 26 years down in North Carolina, and then in 2010, I moved back up here to New York. So
you've been around, you've served our country. Everything. Every time I think of Parris Island, I think of Billy Joel's "Goodbye Saigon." Good Night Saigon. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
Particular song. It's so well written. It's so heartfelt, and just Billy Joel's one of my favorites anyway. So I hear the choppers coming in, and I can, we got a Veterans Day coming up. So we've got was that Thursday?
And tomorrow, the 10th, is actually the Marine Corps birthday.
Okay, wow. So is it like a specific big year for the Marine Corps, or is it?
No, I'll have to double check. I should have already remembered what year it was, but
I don't know. So we should know those things. We should know them a lot more.
I should have that off the top of my head, yeah. But unfortunately, I just don't.
Thanks, Nickel, for chiming in here with us and saying hi to Bonnie. And so, but Bonnie, it's funny. I got to meet you several years ago. You were the manager at Snap Fitness. I had no idea, that you had won 3 world champions as a boxer. And recently, I can kind of chime in here because Bonnie was recently inducted into the International Hall of Fame of Women's Boxing. So if you're out there, give her a clap, even a standing ovation, because that's pretty impressive and that's pretty cool. Obviously, we don't want to mess with Bonnie Mann. Now you still are kind of in that business, correct?
Correct. Here I'm the general manager here at Jim's Gym in Elmira, and we do have. Thanks, Nicole. We actually do have. We do have a regular gym here as well, a traditional gym, as well as our CF 607 CrossFit style classes. But we are in the process. We have a small 3,000 square foot space. I mean, not that that's really small, but when you're talking boxing, that I currently do host classes at and personal training at. But we are getting ready to, and by we, I mean Jim Wheaton, the owner, is getting ready to start work on the other side, and we're going to renovate that area, and it'll be a much larger, about 3 times the size of what we have right now, right. And it'll be a full-blown boxing gym.
Very good. I think it wasn't very long ago when we were shooting some video of you, and just happened so that this man named Dave Clark came by, and I guess we weren't treating him too kindly. I don't know if that's sharing stories of human kindness, but Bonnie and I were in her gym that's getting renovated and having a little fun with Dave Clark there. It was, I know it wasn't that long ago, but it was kind of fun. So.
Yeah, that was a good day. That was a nice surprise with you bringing him by here and being able to, finally meet him in person. And, what an inspiration he is as well, obviously. And it's fantastic that he is a huge part of this movement and the things that Dave has done. And for anyone who hasn't read the Dave Clark story, it's a must. I've read it. I have it sitting on my coffee table, and I go back periodically and read different pages of it too. So yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to meet him that day and then have him there and have a little fun messing around.
So I had a little fun today. Barbara is a lady I've gotten to know through, just the connections that we have. And she actually is the one that connected me with Ava Page, our country singer who's been kicking cancer. And so she connected with Ava, and she found out what we were doing, and she's been following us. And she goes, I'm with some guys I want you to meet, and I'm like, okay, who are they? And she gets me Mickey Rooney's son on the phone today, Jimmy Rooney. I didn't know he had a son, so Jimmy Rooney. And I guess he's done some voiceovers as an actor. And then he gets the current gentleman, and I got to get his name. We were trying to look it up because it was a really, really quick call. But the voice of Kermit the Frog, the current voice of Kermit the Frog. And so I'm talking with these two guys on the phone today, all because of getting the word out here with the pulling each other along. So continue to share, continue to tell people about what we're doing. I do want to give a little bit of an update for those of you that are listening. This has been kind of a series of podcasts where we're kicking off the Kickstarter. Today is technically the first day. So if you haven't yet, please go to the Kickstarter. We can send you some links. Nikel, if you can put a link in the comments, but you can go to kickstarter.com and just put in pulling each other along, and it'll take you there. Look for a perk. We've got hats, we've got hoodies, we've got our book, of course. We have one left of the Rocky Bleier special, which is a whole bunch of stuff, including a signed Rocky Bleier football jersey from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And and you can help us out. If you don't want anything, you can just give us a gift. It can be $1, it can be $10, and if it's $1 million, though, come see me. We can talk about other things. So as far as ways you can help out. So, and right before we got on the show, I wanted to give a little update. In less than 24 hours, we're already at $4,000. So thank you guys for helping us out. We won't receive any money until we get that number over 12,000. So if you don't know how Kickstarter works, no money until we get over 12,000. And so we still have a ways to go, although we have several days to get there. But really, $12,000 is kind of our low goal. There's obviously 12,000 is a lot of money. We're going to be very appreciative of it. We're going to get a bunch of books printed and given out, handed out, sold. But to do the kind of things that we're hoping to do with this movement, we're going to need a lot more. So Bonnie, what do you think about some of the people that are involved in the, who's kind of stood out for you?
I think, and me, I've tried to get on as many of the podcasts that we have as possible, just because I like to hear everyone's story. I know my own. I just like to hear everybody else's. So I think for me, one of the big ones was Ava Page, and her story, what she went through, and I'm not going to give anything away, but just the battles she's had, and her determination, and the people that have rallied around her, out in the Nashville area, and the things she's gone through. And she's just a very talented singer-songwriter, and she has an incredible voice. And I've actually fallen in love with her voice and her personality. And, I think people, when they read these stories and they get to know these people a little bit more and see some videos and podcasts, you just kind of start getting attached to these people and their journeys. So for me, I think Ava Page is probably one of the big ones. Of course, obviously Dave Clark. I love his story. And Laura, I can never say her last name right. Laura
Kagan.
Shagnon. Yeah, I
bet she's there listening in too. Give us a shout out if you're listening in.
Yeah, her comments that she made after I did my podcast with you the first time, just kind of really touched me, and we've been in contact since. So it's kind of the relationships that are building from what we're all doing, and what our goal is to help pull others along and to let them know how much we appreciate that they've done that for us. So I think those are the few, Rocky Blyer's story. Obviously his is very cool, being someone who loves sports. That's fantastic. Jay Lawrence. I really love Jay's, and Courtney Runyon, love her story. So there's so many, you've got the Crazy Socks, and, if people don't know what we're talking about, you just need to go to our website. You need to go to pullingeachatheralong.com and read all these bios and get to know these people. But, I have a couple of people with Down syndrome that I work with here. And so, of course, when I found out about Crazy Sock and Chris Nissick and all, those things touch my heart too.
Yeah. The funny thing, I don't know if it's a funny thing, when Todd and I first set out to do this book, we were intending to about 25 chapters. And we started calling people, and you were one of the people on the list. Rocky was one of the first people I called because I'd gotten to know Rocky a few years ago. And he calls me right back, and it's an instant, yes, I want to do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And before you know it, I'd call enough people, and we got so many yeses that we had well over 30 yeses. And there were still some people we were kind of wanting to fit in there, but it was like, oh, how big is this book going to get? Well, the book's gotten a lot bigger than we thought. It's actually going to be more expensive to print than we thought. All those kind of things, which is another reason why we need help with this Kickstarter. But getting all these people and all these stories, it was really, there was hardly any we could say no to for right now. And then you get to the point, okay, we got to do book 2. If we get to that point of another book someday, then we're going to throw, we can look at some more. And because the amount of stories, I had a list of 50 people to call. I didn't even get through that list.
Right.
I had to stop calling them because it was like, yep, I'll do this. Yep, I'll do this. Yep, I'll do this. And I'm like, wow, what are we doing wrong? Because usually, in the sales world and getting people involved in stuff, it's a little tougher than that. And so I was pretty pleased, but it still took us a long time to get all the stories written, compiled, getting the right cover. Hopefully folks love the cover. I don't know, we got a pretty good response from the cover. I didn't want just your regular old thing and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I know you mentioned Avon. We have a few people that are listening right now. You want me to play the song? Because I know that song has really touched you.
I really do. And just before you play, I want people to know that I had a speaking engagement at a minor college yesterday, and I played this video that Doug had, put together as well. And there were tears. There were just a lot of tears. And when you go back and read the bios and get to know some of these people, and then you watch this video, I think people understand why so many were moved. So yeah, I think the world should see this.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I think the amazing thing when I did the podcast with her, when I found out she was 14 years old when she wrote and performed this song, and it was right before she found out she had leukemia. So, the timing of all these things are pretty great and pretty crazy. So without further ado, let's hear Ava Page, When Hope Comes In.
Can't figure out just where you're going. The road you're on feels like a dead end. When you feel the door is closing, well, that's when hope comes in. Well, that leap of faith has got you down. There's a blessing you forgot to count. Looking for peace has left you broken. Well, that's when hope comes in. Change when you least expect it to. It's amazing what a twist of fate can do. You're never through, no matter how much you've been through. So no matter how your story looks, there's still chapters left in a book. Just when you think you've reached the end, that's when hope comes in. Change when you least expect it to. It's amazing what a twist of fate can do. You're never through, no matter how much you've been through. So trust whatever you believe. Well, there's a reason why you dream your dreams. We're just in time, like a long lost friend. That's when hope comes in. Yeah, that's when hope comes in.
I muted us so you wouldn't hear me singing in the background.
Well,
So-
I was just going to say, I was glad you did mute it because I always sing every single word when I hear that song.
I didn't want you to hear my ooze, you know.
I
So
do use too. I try to harmonize.
yeah, no, it's fun. So that song, if you aren't familiar with When Hope Comes In, it's on all the ways you can buy music out there with Ava Page on avapagemusic.com, and and so it's definitely a good one to have on your list in your phone or however you do your music these days. I know Todd, you made me laugh during this, so I don't know if you saw the quote that Todd brought up. The only thing that would make me cry this much is being on the receiving end of a Bonnie Mann right. Yeah, well, I bet you her left would get you too, Todd. So
my left was actually my left hook was my best punch. So if he's on the right, it might not have been all that bad.
wow, we got a greeting from Ireland. That's a first.
Oh wow!
Is this
Well,
someone
hello from Ireland.
I don't know.
Maybe on my friends list.
Okay,
Yes.
very, very nice. So thank you for joining us. Join us on the Pulling Each Other Along Kickstarter. Thank you, Laura. This podcast is a knockout. That's why she's the poet.
That's right.
She knows the right things to say. So again, this is the Kickoff podcast. One of the things that I'm actually getting a really nice response on that I've been trying to mention. I came up with a concept of creating a greeting card. The concept of this is we're putting this together. We're getting them printed. I'm going to try to make them as nice as I can. But it's a card that we want to be able to get into people's hands so that they can take that time to thank the people that have pulled them along in their life. To us, this is more than just a book. Although it's not, I don't want to be, it's a great book and we're excited about every chapter in the Pulling Each Other Along. But we want it to mean more than that. We want people to read these stories and say, you know what? My gym teacher, my coach, my mother, my aunt, my grandmother, my friend, whatever it is, did this thing for me and I never forgot it.
Right.
Teammate, whatever it is. And we want you to encourage to think back in your Rolodex and send them this thank you pulled me along card. And then also in the inside of the card, it just says, thank you for pulling me along. You've been an incredible source of encouragement during my life. And I just wanted you to know something. I think it's simple, but it also brings to the point of something that we want to encourage people to do. And we want to encourage everybody to pull, push, as we say in one of our videos, get out of the way if we have to, so that people can succeed. and we can succeed together in this life, because there's a lot of trials, there's a lot of tribulation, there's a lot of division amongst thinking, and so if we can pull together on the things that matter and help each other, and get back to a united nation, I think that would be really, really cool. We got some other, let's see what else we got here. We got any questions? Tom will be to get the ring. Oh, he'll get in the ring with you. Yeah.
He would just run for 12 rounds.
Yeah, there you go. He would do like the Curly O'Neill, like in the old Three Stooges, just keep running around. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for popping in. I saw you were at our podcast the other day too, but we didn't get to shout out to you. So thanks for coming. But remember, we just broke 4,000. I'm hoping that we'll get to at least 5,000 today. 6,000 would be even more remarkable for a first day in the Kickstarter. But again, we want you to continue to share the message of pulling each other along, share these stories. If you haven't yet, we have somebody fairly famous that most of you might know. And I got to find his, where is it? Where's Terry Bradshaw? Here he is, Terry. So there's Mr. Bradshaw. Terry was willing to be a part of this, and he wrote the foreword. And if you haven't gotten the foreword, go to pullingeachatheralong.com right now, or maybe not right now, in a few minutes after we close out this podcast, and go ahead and get that forward. You can get a free copy of the forward. It's obviously in the book as well, but you don't have to wait for the book for that one. You can go to pullingeachatheralong.com and grab the forward, download it, and pass that website landing page along so that you can encourage other people to read that forward as well. And who knows, maybe we'll make chapter 1 available someday during this Kickstarter thing. The chapter that made it all happen.
Yeah, that might entice people, but I think if they go back and watch any of our podcasts, all you got to do is really watch one or two of those, and you'll have the gist of what this book is about. And it's really about us individually acknowledging and giving thanks to those who were there for us. And I don't recall lately having read in the past maybe 10 years chapters of a book that have moved me more than the ones that I've been able to, get a little sneak peek of.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some moving chapters, some powerful stories, things that are gonna, probably make you cry. Hopefully make you laugh too, because laughing is always good. Hopefully our podcasts make you laugh sometimes. I need Dave Clark on here, because Dave will do something funny.
Well, and Dave Stevens will too.
Dave Stevens, he's pretty crazy, and I love his story. That's, yeah. Even though he kind of only did a little rendition, he obviously he needs to put the whole book together for his life, as you do, and a lot of other of these people. They just haven't gotten the book together because it's a lot of work. It's a labor of love. It often doesn't make any money, but getting these stories out collectively is what we're doing with Pulling Each Other Along. And go to the Pulling Each Other Along page. There is a video that we have out there right now. I want to show, I don't know how many people are new or not new that are listening in right now, but I've been trying to show this particular video just a little bit more. It's about one minute long. It's my business partner, Dave Clark. If you're not familiar with his story, which probably many of you are if you're listening in, but Dave had a pretty illustrious career in the minor leagues in our country, pitching and playing from his crutches. It's truly amazing. Most people I talk to have never heard about his story, which is really kind of a crime in my opinion. It's a shame because a story like his should be known. Playing in the minor leagues of baseball, playing in the major leagues over in Sweden, coaching in the major leagues, being an Olympic coach and on staff with the Olympics, and all the things that he's done in baseball, all at 5'2" on crutches. But at one of his keynotes, or several of his keynotes, we put together this video, and it shares the inspirational story behind the Pulling Each Other Along book.
When I came out of the reconstruction home in Ithaca, New York, I was wearing a little set of leg braces, and walking with crutches. Once I started attending grade school, I was made to feel different. We had a field trip slated for first grade, and it was walking, maybe 5-6 blocks. I was deathly afraid of holding the class up. Our teacher had told us 2 weeks before this was going to happen, so for 13 straight days I've got anxiety and I'm getting nervous about this thing coming up. Day of the trip, one of my little first grade classmates, and I never forgot his name, Ernie Pound, pulled his little red flyer wagon up and he said, "Dave, jump in, I want to pull you." That changed that whole day for me, made it a fun trip, enjoyable instead of the anxiety. It all washed away when Ernie brought his wagon up. 50 years later, I had a reunion with this guy. We were doing a book signing. Unknown to me, they had found him. And who's this to?
Sign it, Ernie Pound.
You found him, I can't believe it.
Thank you very much.
Still gets me. Because 50 years later, that guy didn't know what he did for me. But he does now.
Yes, Barbara, we know.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with her. I'm like, every time I see that, I do the same thing.
It's happy tears, though, hopefully.
It is.
And Barbara was a longtime friend of Dave. I think she even goes back to the elementary school with Dave, but I'm not 100% sure if she goes all the way that far back. But she can give us a text and let us know. So yeah, it gets us every time. It's amazing that one little act of kindness can still be being talked about, and I think that's a big part of the message, that we have this one little act of kindness that happened in 1958. It was never forgotten. It was put in a book, and before you know it, we're still talking about it today. And that's the impact of kindness. That's the impact of pulling somebody along, helping them can all have. And so, thank you, Ernie Pound, for making this all possible. Plus Ernie's a trooper, man. He does not like to be the center of attention, but he has played along, and he's obviously pretty proud of the children's book that I did. If you're not familiar with the children's book, I never know how to do this on my camera here, but I wrote a children's book called Pulling a Pound of Kindness. Being that Ernie was named Ernie Pound, we came up with the name A Pound of Kindness, and it's a great part of the book. I'm going to make that a perk on the Pulling Each Other Along website. It's an add-on, so if somebody orders something, they can get it as an add-on. You can go and you can see a whole bunch of things as add-ons, jerseys. You can get jerseys, and you get hats and things as add-ons. And so so help us out however you can, whatever fits your budget. And even if it's just $5, the more people that we get to do $5 or even $1, the more activity we get on the website, and our SEO numbers, whatever that means, go up, and all those good things. So appreciate that. Appreciate your participation in all of this, Bonnie. You've been somebody that I know understands what this can be and how it can affect people's lives, and I've appreciated your encouragement along the way too.
Well, I'm just super excited to be a part of this, and I feel very blessed. I can still remember the day you called me, and I was like, "Really? You want me to be a part of this?" Absolutely, because I was just very humbled. And but yeah, this is fantastic. And I like you said, if it's $1, if it's $2, like you said yesterday, we'll take 1 million people giving $1. It adds up.
Yeah. At this point, we'll take 1,000 or 2,000 people.
1,000 or 2,000. Yeah, so exactly.
Obviously we like it when we see it spike and it goes up, and by 250 or 350, we had a couple of those spots today and yesterday, and obviously that's fun. But I'm just as excited when somebody says, I can't give a lot, but they can put $1 in, they can put $5 in. You can get one of my greeting cards. Those, I think we have. You can just get one of these. We'll send it to you in an envelope, so you can send out. Give us a $5 gift, and we'll get that to you. So there's little things. If you want a little bit more, then that's great too. What is the question? How do you spell awesome, Bonnie Man? Oh,
You're very sweet, Laura.
it's true. It's true. We have, obviously Laura is one of the awesome folks and part of this as well. And just to make
Absolutely.
an announcement, it looks like I secured Rocky Blyer for Thursday evening's podcast. And so if you see that, I've got to put put it all together and throw it out there. And it's Veterans Day, so have a veteran like Rocky Blyer come on the show at 5:30. We're going to do it at 5:30, not 7. So Tom, get your popcorn ready early, and we'll have Rocky Blyer on, and hopefully a surprise or two or whatever. But his story is amazing. He's obviously the biggest celebrity for those that know the story Rocky Blyer, and I know a lot don't, because it's been that long ago. But Rocky is going to be a great show, and getting him and Dave together, and probably Dave Stevens, and who knows, the other Dave. I'll have 3 Daves on again, and then I'm Doug. So it's we got all these Daves. So Barbara, what you got? Let's see what Barbara. She says, I met up with Dave in high school, and I feel blessed ever since. My final paper for psychology was on Dave. That's got to be a paper to read. And I got an A, and my professor knew nothing about post polio. Yeah, a lot of people don't know about post polio. Dave tries to educate people. He's not really in his scooter to get around because of polio. Well, indirectly he is. He's in the scooter because of post polio, the after effects of years and years and years of wearing out your muscles for overuse, muscles that weren't supposed to be used the way they were, and especially him with playing baseball for 17 years using his muscles. I mean, he can't even get his arm over his shoulder, and and he's still out there doing stuff, still doing our camps, still doing some speaking, although that's subsided a bunch because of COVID. But hopefully we get out there again and get his story out there, because that's a passion of mine. Almost 22 years ago, I met Dave, and we're still at it. His story is one to be told, and now I have 30 more stories to tell.
Now you're going to be working over full time.
Well, right. These last few days with doing this Kickstarter, I definitely feel like I'm in the up to here with things I need to do, should do, could do, all those things. But it's been a pleasure speaking to you once again and talking to you. I look forward to seeing you. Check out Bonnie Mann's profile. Obviously, read her story when you get the book, and not to beg, but we're begging you to go to the Kickstarter, help us out, share those links, share the videos that we start spreading around, get the forward, get some greeting cards, get a hat, get a hoodie, whatever you want to get. So that would be a big help. And we're going to put some other perks on that you might find interesting too as we go forward with the Kickstarter. So Bonnie, thanks again. Thanks for those listening in, and we'll see you another time. I think I have Jay coming on tomorrow for something short like this, and then Rocky Blyer on our normal time. Well, not normal time, but normal day on Thursday evening. All right. Say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks for all listening.